Today's date is Monday, March 24th, 2014. The time is approximately 1:16 p.m. My name is Michelle Fuller. I am the videographer with Legal Vision. The court reporter is Diane Templeton. We are present at the offices of 6446 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg, Florida. We are here for the purpose of taking the deposition of John H. Borsons. The case is instituted in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland. The case is entitled Robert John Glad versus Markeith Doran Demby et al. I will now ask the attorneys to introduce themselves, starting with the plaintiff's attorney.
Michael Baboni for the plaintiff.
Paul Blumenthal for Mr. Glad.
Ralph Arnsdorf for the defendants.
Mark Kozlowski on behalf of Mr. Glad as a counter-defendant.
Would the court reporter kindly swear in the witness?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Would you please state your full name and address for the record?
John Borsons, 9771 37th Street North, Pinellas Park.
And that's St. Petersburg, Florida?
Pinellas Park.
Pinellas Park, Florida.
Pinellas Park, 33782.
Thank you, sir. Have you ever had your deposition taken before?
Yes, in a divorce case.
Okay. I assume that was a number of years ago?
Yes.
All right. Let me just refresh some of the rules of the deposition. As you know, I'm Ralph Arnsdorf. We met earlier. I represent the defendants in the lawsuit. I understand that you have not yet filed suit, but may do so in this case, and so we're taking the preemptive measure of deposing you before you actually file, but in the event that you do file, I assume that this deposition could be used in the same way as it were if you were a party in the lawsuit already. Which means that the testimony that you give today can be used in court whether or not you appear, and even if you appear, it can also be used, in my case, as substantive evidence, or it could be used to impeach something you said in your own case. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You need to answer the questions that I have out loud so both the court reporter can take them down and the videographer can hear them, and also for the purpose of the person on the phone. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If you do not understand a question which I ask you, please let me know. I will rephrase it. I don't think we'll be covering anything terribly complex, but if you don't understand a question that I ask, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll assume that you understood the question.
Yes.
All right. If you need to take a break for any reason, likewise, speak up. This is not going to be terribly long, but you're not here under any type of purge here, so you're free to get up and take a break. All right. We've covered your name and address, and can you tell me, sir, your date of birth?
June 29th, 1955.
All right. So you're going to be 59 years old this year, as am I.
Yes.
All right. Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
Pinellas County Schools.
What do you do there?
Structural planner.
What does a structural planner do for the Pinellas County Schools?
Maintenance department. I work for the maintenance department.
How long have you held that position?
5 years.
Are you an engineer by trade?
No.
No? Did you go to college, sir?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
St. Pete College.
And did you graduate?
Yes.
Can I embarrass you by asking what year?
Actually, it was 2006, I believe it was.
Okay. So you went to college later on in life?
Yes.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your educational background then from high school on and employment-wise.
I worked for a family business, construction business, remodeling, renovating, and pursued education later through the years as I was working in the field.
Okay. How do you know Mr. Glad?
I met Mr. Glad years ago. We were in construction, did work for his aunt in St. Petersburg, Florida. And that's how I met Mr. Glad, through his aunt.
Okay. And does he live here in the vicinity where you live?
He's seasonal resident.
Okay. And how would you characterize how often you see each other?
Probably once or twice, a couple of times, you know, when he's here in Florida.
Okay. Do you correspond during the course of the year when he's not in
Yes.
Florida? Okay. Are you
Yes.
friends with anyone else in Mr. Glad's family?
Socially we communicate. And I've met the family through Bob,
Okay.
through Mr. Glad.
This lawsuit arises out of an accident which occurred on April 9th last year, 2013. You were familiar with that, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what the reason was that you were traveling with Mr. Glad on that day.
I was traveling him as a companion and to go back so he wasn't driving alone back to New York.
Tell me where the trip originated.
Originated from St. Pete,
Do you remember
from his
what-
house in the Gateway area.
And what was your timetable for getting back to New York?
3 days.
Do you remember the date that you actually left St. Petersburg?
It was Monday the 8th, April 8th.
Okay. And when you left, approximately what time did you leave?
About 8:30.
In the morning.
Yes.
All right. And where did you drive to on the April 8th, 2013?
We drove north on 95 and went as far as we could drive. You know, we spent the night in a motel.
Do you remember what city you spent the night in?
It was Virginia.
Do you remember where in Virginia?
No, I don't recall.
Was it as far north as Richmond?
Yeah, I think it was past Richmond, what I remember.
Okay. When you say past, do you mean
North of.
north of Richmond? Okay. And still on 95 somewhere, I'm going to name some cities that might help, but maybe not. Fredericksburg?
Not quite to Fredericksburg.
Okay, somewhere between Richmond and Fredericksburg?
Yes.
Okay. I think what's in there. King's Dominion.
I don't recall.
All right.
I don't recall the name of the city.
Do you recall the name of the hotel or motel that you stayed in?
I'm not sure.
Did you have a reservation?
No.
Just pulled in.
Yes.
What time do you think you got in that night?
It was late in the evening. It was about between 10 and 11 o'clock p.m.
Tell me about the trip up. You left at 8:30 in the morning. How often did you stop?
We stopped often. I'd say we drove probably 30, 40-minute intervals, sometimes more.
And when you say 30 to 40-minute intervals, what would you do when you hit 30, 40 minutes?
Pull over, switch, pull a rest stop or gas or get something to eat.
Whose vehicle were you driving?
Bob's.
Do you remember the make and model of the car?
There was a Buick LaCrosse, 2011.
Had you driven that vehicle before?
Yes.
Okay. And had you made this trip on a previous occasion with Mr. Glad?
No.
And how was it that it came about that you decided to go with him on this particular trip?
His family, I had talked to the family. Family had encouraged her. They were talking about having someone drive with them, and I basically offered to drive along with them.
Were you on break from school at that particular time?
So I took time off.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. And was there some concern on the part of the family that Mr. Glad should not be driving alone?
No.
What was the reason that they... I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so tell me what it is they expressed to you about why they wanted you to drive.
They just wanted someone to be there, just as a companion, just someone to, so it wouldn't, have someone to share the driving, basically.
Okay. Was there anyone in Mr. Glad's family that was down here in Florida at the time that you left that could have driven with him as well?
No.
I assume that you, when you came up, you went up I-75 and then at some point crossed over to 95?
Yes.
Do you remember where you crossed?
Our route was, we left on I think it was 275, then I-75, then we took 301 to the interchange, which is 95.
Okay. That through Gainesville?
I-10. No, actually, no, it was
Oh, you went up to I-10?
Jacksonville.
Okay. So you really went 75 north to
Yes,
I-10 across east to 95 north.
yes.
Anyone else with you in the vehicle at the time that you drove?
No,
Just the two of you?
yes.
How did you pass the time on the drive? What did you talk about?
Current events, you know, just family, politics, just different things. Listen to music.
What did you observe about Mr. Glad's driving while you were with him on that April 8th?
Very cautious driver.
Okay.
Drives with a very defensive driver.
What speed limit were you trying to maintain when you were driving?
The speed limit, whatever the posted speed limit was.
Okay. How often would you say you drove as opposed to Mr. Glad?
We would change, I'd say that about the same equal time.
So if you left about 8:30 in the morning and you believe you pulled in to Virginia late at night or late in the evening on the 8th, you were driving for approximately 12 to 14 hours, is that fair?
Well, we changed through that duration of that time.
Sure, I understand that you drove some and Mr. Glad
Yes.
drove some, but the total driving time in the vehicle was about 12 to 14 hours?
I don't know, it doesn't calculate that long.
Okay, if you left at 8:30, what time do you think you arrived at wherever you stopped in Virginia?
Well, it's a math question, so I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm just asking you what time you think you arrived.
It was at night, it was PM, but we stopped, had dinner, so 12 hours was not the total time driving.
Understand. The total length of the trip that day is more what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
And that was approximately how long?
$10 hours, I would think, just off the top of my head.
Where did you stop for dinner that night?
Well, it was a Cracker Barrel. That's what I remember.
There's more than one.
Yeah, there's several. I don't know where, though. I don't know where we stopped.
Okay. All right. Anything eventful occurred during the trip on the April 8th, 2013?
No.
You remember the weather?
It's clear. Clear weather.
Temperature?
Pleasant.
Air conditioning on? Heat on? Do you remember
Air
which?
conditioning on, radio on.
So you went, spent the night in a motel in somewhere in Virginia, north of Richmond, possibly
Yes.
south of Fredericksburg. What happened the next morning?
Then we, of course, we get up around 8, about the same time, 8 o'clock. Then we were on the road again.
All right. And tell me the route that you took from wherever you were till the point of the accident.
We were on 301.
Do you know how you got onto Route 301 from 95?
The exit, the nearest exit, wherever the map, whatever we had on our map was I don't remember, just was, we exited to 301. It was off of 95, but I'm pretty sure, well, it was in Virginia.
Right. Was there a reason that you decided to go 301 north as opposed to 95 north at that point?
That was a route that Bob had that basically went, he had an itinerary or actually a map of which route.
Okay. And was this a pre-planned route?
Yes.
Where was the, if you know, where were you going to rejoin Interstate 95? Or were you not planning to go up 95 anymore?
We weren't planning on going 95.
Okay. So from the point at which you left 95 and got onto 301, you were planning to go 301 north to where?
Delaware.
Okay. And then what?
And then whatever route takes us to, so I'm not familiar with the area, so I don't.
Okay.
You're asking me questions, I can't give you an answer.
Well, I just wondered if you were the navigator or if you were the...
No, I was a driver.
Okay. Approximately what time would you say that you reached the point of the accident?
Time of day?
Yes, sir.
It was around 1 o'clock, what I remember.
You said that you thought you left somewhere around 8 o'clock in the morning. Is that fair?
Yes.
Did you stop between the time that you left and the time of the accident?
Yes.
How often?
We stopped, I think. I'm trying to remember. I would say 2-3 times.
Did you stop for breakfast?
I'm not sure, I don't remember.
How about lunch?
No, we didn't stop for lunch.
Was it mostly just to switch drivers and get gas?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, as best you can recall, the events leading up to the time of the accident in terms of where you were and who was driving and so forth.
We'd stopped for gas just before the Bay Bridge in Maryland. And Bob was driving, we were driving on 301. And it was afternoon, but there was no one on the road. I mean, it was a very easy drive. And then this truck come out of nowhere. That's all I remember.
You were a passenger in the right front seat at the
Yes.
time. Do you know how fast the posted speed is on 301 north of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge at that point?
I believe it was 55.
Do you know how fast the Buick LaCrosse was traveling at that point?
The speed limit.
How do you know
Or close to.
that? How do you know that?
Because I was awake, I was next to him. I know Bob he uses the cruise control. He's always cautious.
Did he have the cruise control on that morning?
Yes.
The time of the accident, the cruise control was
Yes.
activated? That's your...
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because we always talk about it.
Did you use the cruise control as well?
Yes.
Are you familiar at all with the stretch of road where the accident occurred?
No.
Had you been there before?
No.
What did you observe about Mr. Glad before the accident occurred?
He was driving cautiously with his head straight ahead, looking straight ahead.
Okay. And did you see the truck before the impact?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Did you see the truck at any time before it made a turn from the southbound lanes of 301 into the northbound lanes of 301?
No.
When did you first see the truck?
When it pulled off to the emergency lane.
And when did it do that?
When I crawled out of the car and I was walking towards, just try to make sense of what happened.
Can you recall what happened during the impact?
It happened so fast, it was seconds. It's a flash.
Did you say anything to Mr. Glad?
No,
Did the driver of the truck say anything to you?
yes.
What did he say?
I thought you guys were in the other lane.
Do you remember can you tell me what the driver of the truck looked like?
To the best of my knowledge, he looked like he was, as far as nationality, Hispanic.
Did he give you his name?
No,
Did anyone call the police?
I think, to the best of my knowledge, someone had called.
Did you call?
I didn't call.
All right. Do you recall anything that happened at the scene of the accident between the time of the impact and when the police or ambulance or both arrived?
No,
What was your medical condition upon impact?
pain in my right shoulder, my neck, my lower back, my legs. I had a abrasion on my left leg and my right leg.
Did the airbags in the vehicle deploy
Yes,
on both sides of the vehicle?
yes,
Do you know how many of the airbags they actually deployed?
all of them. They went the curtains, all the airbags.
Okay. Did you suffer any fractures of any bones in your body?
No,
Were you taken from the scene for medical treatment?
yes.
Where did you go to?
I believe it's Chester River Hospital, from what I remember.
What did they do for you at Chester River?
Routine tests,
Did that include a series of x-rays?
yes.
Did you receive any type of treatment at the hospital other than routine tests?
No,
Were you treated and released the same day?
yes.
Where did you go upon release from the hospital?
I went to a motel,
In what city?
the same city,
In Chester, Maryland?
yes.
How long did you stay there?
2 nights, I believe.
And then what happened?
Then I had I had booked a flight back home.
Your original plan was to do what upon getting to Westchester County?
Prior,
Yeah, before the accident, what was the eventual plan? What were you going to do?
plan was to drive, companion drive, help drive Bob back home, New York.
That means, what were you going to do?
What was I going to do?
To get home.
Yeah. Were you planning to fly home anyway?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Okay. I just wondered
Yes.
maybe you're going to take the train or get another car or something else. I'm just
No,
wondering.
that was the plan.
You were going to stay with Mr. Glad for a few days, or were you just going to turn right around and fly back?
I was going to fly back.
And did you have a flight reserved?
No.
Were you planning to fly from any particular airport?
No, the closest airport.
Okay. Had you been to Mr. Glad's home in Westchester County before?
No.
So this was sort of an open-ended return
Yes.
trip. Okay. But eventually you flew home instead from the closest airport. Do you remember that being Baltimore?
PWI.
BWI. Okay. Did you go see Mr. Glad before you left?
No.
Do you know where Mr. Glad was?
Yes.
Where was he?
University of Maryland Medical Center.
Is there a
What I recall, I remember. I think that's the hospital.
did you inquire about his medical condition?
Yes.
From whom?
From the hospital where I was.
And what did they tell you?
That he was in surgery, that he's stable, and that he'd have to have a. They were running tests. They really didn't have an answer of his condition.
Did you contact his family?
Yes.
What did you tell them?
Tell them about
The accident.
just basically what happened.
Did any of his family members come down to Baltimore?
No.
Did you make the decision to go back to Florida, even though Mr. Glad was still in the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Did he ask, was he in the condition to ask you to stay?
No.
What medical treatment did you receive after your trip to the emergency room in Chester, Maryland?
Subsequent to,
Yes, sir.
I went to a doctor for my my back and my shoulder.
Which doctor did you go to?
Dr. Latore
And Dr. Latore is located where?
here in St. Pete,
What kind of doctor is he?
chiropractic.
And how soon after you returned home did you see him?
Probably a few days, a couple of days.
How often did you see Dr. Latore following the accident? For how long?
It was several weeks, from what I recall.
Do you remember how many treatments you received?
I'm not sure.
Any other treatment that you received following this accident?
Yes, I went to I guess a jaw specialist.
Where was that?
It was Dr. Bolin, that was here in St. Pete as well.
Could you spell the last name for me?
Bolin,
B-O-L-W?
B-O-L-A-N-D, I believe.
Is he a regular doctor of yours?
No,
He-
specialist.
In what field?
Jaw,
Why did you go to see Dr. Bowling?
because it was based on the pain I was feeling with my jaw and popping, ears popping.
Did Dr. Bowling give you a diagnosis?
Yes,
What did he give you?
I don't recall.
What did he tell you was wrong with you?
Well, from the best of my knowledge, he said that it wasn't surgery, wasn't necessary.
Did he say it was going to resolve on its own?
I don't recall.
How many times did you see Dr. Bowling?
4 or 5 times, I believe.
Did he provide any treatment for you?
Just some medication to help with the pain.
What medication did he prescribe for you?
I don't remember.
Did you take it?
Yes.
Was it a narcotic based?
No.
Was it something you could get over the counter?
I'm not sure.
Do you have any records of the prescription or?
Yes.
Okay. I assume that you provided all that to your attorney and all got a
Yes.
chance to see all that. All right. Anything other than Dr. Bowling and Dr. Latore post-accident?